The Lifestyle Show, presented by Selina MacKenzie.
Now, as a young novice dance teacher, Aimee Friel's first full-time job took an unexpected turn when she was asked to teach regular dance classes for young offenders at a Scottish prison. She joins us to tell us more. Welcome to the show, Aimee.
Thank you so much for having me.
That sounds a bit scary to me. I mean, there's one thing, there's one thing being a dance teacher, great, but in a prison, was it tough?
The idea of it was probably more tough than what it actually was. But yes, there was many challenges, but it was also so rewarding.
Yeah, I can imagine. But it must have taken quite a while to sort of earn their trust.
Absolutely. A lot of the young people that I worked with in the prison had difficulty trusting authority figures and had gone through a lot of adverse childhood experiences or trauma. So I did a lot of work to build my trust up with the young people that we worked with, definitely.
And how old were you? You must have been quite young at the time.
I was about 21 when I started, and I worked at that prison on and off for several years. So I was at times a similar age to the young people in my classes, which was, I thought it would have been more of an odd dynamic. Actually, at times it really worked in my favour.
Yeah, I guess they probably thought you could relate to them, and I guess you could, being of a similar age.
Yeah, and I didn't think that we'd have that much in common because I didn't know what to expect. But with some of the young people, I forgot that I was in a prison. It just felt like any other class, and we did have some things in common that could help me build that trust, absolutely.
And were they both male and females in there?
Mostly males that I worked with in the prison.
Do you think that made it harder or easier?
I don't think. Perhaps at times more challenging because there's a lot of stigma around dance. A lot of the young men thought that it would be embarrassing to do the dance class and it would make them seem less of a manly man. So we had our work cut out for us trying to break those stereotypes.
Yeah, I can imagine. So let's go back then to when this all started happening. How were you approached about it?
I worked for a dance organisation in Scotland. I was an apprentice dance teacher, so I would learn on the job, really. I was very lucky. I got to work with lots of other highly skilled and experienced dance artists where I would get to go and shadow their dance lessons, and I would work my way up throughout the year to be team teaching and then having full responsibility on my own. And at this company, there was lots of different projects I worked with children and young people in schools or for children with additional support needs and disabilities. And it just so happened that one of the projects that they worked on was with young offenders in a prison, and I was asked to join that project. So it wasn't ever something that I had planned while I was at dance college, or it wasn't anything that I thought that I would do. But I'm so glad that I did.
And do you need any special training? I mean, presumably you can't just go into a prison and start teaching.
Well, for me, it was all training on the job mostly, but at times the prison would hold training sessions for safety, which would allow you to walk around the prison with a safety alarm and not to always have to be escorted by a prison officer. So that was run through the Scottish Prison Service.
Right. Did you get any cringeworthy chat-up lines?
Definitely. But it made me laugh so much. It was when things like that would happen, that would be something where I would think, oh my goodness, these guys could be the stars of a comedy TV series. I would find it hilarious, and I would make sure to write it down because I didn't want to forget it. The cringy chat up lines is not like anything that I'd heard as a young person out in bars or clubs. It was just a full other kettle of fish.
And a couple of things came up when I was looking at the book. You had an impromptu drum session. What was that all about?
Well, in the performing arts room that we worked at teaching dance, they also had other arts activities there too, such as drama or music. So they would have guitars and ukuleles around the room and a drum kit. So it could be that if I had a bit of a challenging group, I'll say that, a challenging group where they might not be as interested in the dance session at first. You have to kind of win them over. They might get distracted with those instruments around the room. But again, I would try and take things like that in my stride and think, this needs to go in the journal. I need to write this down, because when else would this happen at your work?
Yeah. Is that how the book came about? Because you kept a journal?
Yeah, definitely. It was just something that I did for fun, because it got to a point where the dance classes in the prison, funnily enough, were the highlight of my week. Out of all the other classes I taught, I really looked forward to those prison dance classes, and I thought, I don't want to forget these memories. I want to write it down so I can look back one day. And then it became a book.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. And what's the story about a stolen safety alarm?
Oh, well, that was nothing too serious, thankfully. But I mentioned earlier about the safety alarm that we had for if there was an emergency, there's a little button on it that you could press. And thankfully, I've never ever had to press that button, but we would always have it on us. Sometimes in my rookie days, I made the mistake of putting the safety alarm down for a few minutes, because when you're dancing, it could be a bit tricky to have the alarm on your belt when you're dancing. So I'd put it down. And this was in the early stages when I was less experienced, and one of the young men thought it would be funny to grab it, run around the room, just trying to have a bit of banter. I thought, oh my goodness, if that button gets pressed, I could be in all sorts of trouble. And after that, I definitely learned my lesson to hide it, put it away in my bag, put it away in the little locked office. But he was just trying to make us laugh. But thankfully, it wasn't anything more serious than that.
Oh, have you ever been in any dangerous situations?
No, I was very fortunate where we had a prison officer in the dance class in a little office at the back of the room who'd always be watching, so I always felt very safe.
Yeah. And are you allowed to say which prison it was?
I'm not, unfortunately. It is a prison in Scotland, but that's all I can say.
Okay, fair enough. And what type of dance did you teach them?
A lot of the different styles. So hip hop was a popular one. A lot of the young men, as I say, a lot of them were kind of close to my age. So like me, they would have grown up with Diversity on Britain's Got Talent, or George Sampson, if you remember him, the breakdancer. Yeah. And like the Step Up movies, a lot of them grew up with that. So hip hop was a good way in. Sometimes we'd have to lead with more of a fitness-based session, because a lot of the guys like to go to the gym. So just hooking them in with something that interested them, and then gradually bringing the dance in, sneaking it in almost. And then we could maybe explore different styles like jump style or contemporary, the more that we won over the young people.
Yeah, because I guess they don't have to do it, do they? They can choose to do it, is that right?
That's correct. They sign up to do the classes, and I'd often have to remind myself of that when I was getting quite nervous or imposter syndrome. I'd have to give myself a little pep talk and say, okay, Aimee, they've signed up for this. No one is forcing them to take part. Like, don't worry, I'm sure they'll enjoy it. So I would have to remind myself of that quite often.
Did you really get nervous and have imposter syndrome?
Yeah, I think that's just a normal part of life when you're in a new job, isn't it? Like any other job. Obviously, the more that I was there, each week, the less that would happen. Definitely.
Yeah, I think for the inmates, I think it can be very therapeutic, can't it? Dance. It could be a bit of a release for some of them.
Yeah, like with any type of exercise, there's those endorphins, those happy hormones. I feel it in my daily life after I've gone to the gym or a workout class. I can be in the most rubbish mood ever, and then I come out of the class and I feel amazing. And I could often see that in the young people, which was really rewarding. But not only that, dance in itself, the power that dance has to help people with their teamwork and confidence and expression. I just think that dance is such a healing, powerful art form.
Yeah, I think it also gives you a sense of freedom, which is something that obviously would be good for them.
Definitely, yes. I think that the freedom, not just in the movement, but in the ethos of the class of this is a safe space, you can express yourself here, there's no right or wrong. Yes, there could be dance styles where it was 5, 6, 7, 8, copy or a movement, but we were very much, there isn't a right or wrong, do what feels right for your body. Don't try to do it the same as us or anyone standing next to you. You can interpret this movement for what feels best for you.
And was it just on the dance floor, or were you allowed to take like tea breaks with them, things like that, get to know them a bit better?
Yeah, I talk about tea breaks a lot in the book that I've written, because that was really a fundamental part of the class, to build relationships and get to know the young people. You wouldn't just go into the class and be teacher mode the full session. You need to have little breaks and moments for conversation to really, as it just comes back to building that trust and building relationships.
Yeah. Presumably this is your first book, Aimee, is it?
Yes, my first book.
Congratulations. How did it come about? Did you just decide to contact a publisher with your journal?
Thank you so much. Yes. So, as I said, it started off as a journal just for me, just for memories. And I had some spare time over summer holidays and things like that, where I thought, okay, I'm going to work on it a little bit more. I'm going to see if I can really improve this, edit it, make it something. And I showed my gran. She is a big reader. She loves reading, and she's very brutally honest as well. Like, if she thought it was rotten, she would have definitely told me. So I got her to read it, and it was really hard. It persuaded me to go to publishers and send them the manuscripts, because she really believed in me. So I'm so grateful for that.
Oh, that's what grans are for, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I assume even if you really hit it off with some of them, which I'm sure must have helped them when they're incarcerated, you're not allowed to keep in touch afterwards?
Yeah, that wouldn't be it wouldn't be seen as very professional. And yeah, at the company I worked with, they did have policies like that, where it's strictly talking to the young people at your place of work, and then you leave it there, unless the young people that we work with wanted to contact the company to let us know how they were getting on. Then of course we'd be able to respond back to that in a professional manner.
Yeah. Talking about leaving it there, I often ask doctors and nurses that I interview the same question. But you know, if you do see something upsetting, or you see somebody that's really struggling when you're at work, can you leave it there? Can you go home and put it out your mind? I mean, you're only human at the end of the day, aren't you? Yeah,
I would find that particularly challenging, especially if you've had a day where some of the young people would confide in you and open up a little bit more about their backstories. I would find it hard to switch off. I would go away and think about it quite a lot and kind of mull it over in my head. And that was a big part of the book as well, me writing, and that was a good way for me to release that, I suppose.
Yeah, because presumably there were lots of reasons for the men being in there, from childhood experiences to substance misuse. Is that correct? Are there all sorts of reasons?
Yeah, and that's another thing that I explore in the book, is just not excusing the crimes, but wondering, how did we end up here? We all start off life in the same way as innocent children, and what happened in that young person's life to make them go down this route. And that's something that I do try to touch upon quite a lot in the book.
Well, for our listeners, the book is called The Prison Project, a memoir from a prison dance teacher by Aimee Friel, who we're chatting to now. I believe it's not actually out till the 28th of April, is that correct?
Yes, the 28th of April.
So people need to pre-order it. And if people want to find out more about you, are you on any of the socials, or do you have a website?
Yes, I'm on Instagram as Aimee Friel Author. And if you Google The Book Guild, that's my publishers, you can pre-order the book on there, or on Amazon or Waterstones as well. Well,
I wish you lots of luck with it, Aimee. Sounds like a fab read, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
It has to me too. Thanks, Aimee. Bye-bye.